What is going on, everybody? Is your boy YuGiOh Hero here. I'm back at you with another deck profile. Now, this ain't a usual deck profile that I do because I'm normally running normal deck profiles that I did consistently with like meta deck, like Dracos and stuff. A couple here and there that wasn't like Blue Eyes. It was more of a rogue deck. But this time we're playing another rogue deck, and this is anti-meta with Inspector Border. So, the reason I like this deck so much is Inspector Border. With him being out, a lot of this could just be played out because for those people that don't know, we'll get in a little more depth once we get into this profile. But if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. We're doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers. If you don't know what the giveaways are, you could go back to the giveaway video that I had a while back ago, and that explains what happens every 50 subscribers. So, now that I've been gone for a while, I kind of decreased on it, but I'm going to try to come back now. I'm going to try to work my ass off, get everything set up like I wanted it to. But let's get right into it. So, Inspector Border, we're running this at 3 of. Now, the reason that this card is so good is because basically it says no to you, activating effects. If you control no extra deck monster, no pendulums or rituals on the board, you cannot activate effects. I will set up a good example on this. Say that you're running Dinos and you summon Overraptor. You cannot activate his effect unless you control an XC monster or a pendulum or an extra deck monster in this case. If you control one extra deck monster and one pendulum monster, for example, you could get 2 effects off. If you control a Link monster, an XC, and a pendulum, you get 3 effects off. That's the best way to use that as an example. A lot of people have so much, they have so much hard time reading the card text, but the rulings are in the card itself. The rulings, that's why I like that card. The rulings are in it. So next one that we're running of is 3 Thunder King Ryu. He's really good because that says no searching at all. The best matchups you could do with this is Pendulums, of course, True Dracos, Trickstars, especially Trickstars because it's such a high beat stick, and a lot of Trickstar players nowadays don't even run Honest. They're mainly using Scapegoats over Honest. So trying to get over this thing is pretty difficult for them. Dinos too, it can be a real problem because they can't search their double evolution pill. The next one we're running is the 3 Falsodinas. Falsodina is really clutch in a lot of decks. Against a lot of decks because they can't special summon. The only decks that really in the meta that don't get affected by it is Dracos and even Trickstars, because the only thing that Trickstars really special summon is their Scapegoat tokens to go into their extra deck and Lacquerus from the hand. So other than that, this really doesn't affect it, and plus it's a 1200 beat stick, so yeah, they can run over it simply with Candina. So the next one we're running is just a 1 of Banisher of Radiance. This card is so good against every deck because Dracos can't get their pop effect. Pendulums don't get an extra deck anymore with their pendulums. They go all to grave. Let's see here. What else is another good one? Trickstars, they can activate their stuff still, but it goes to the banish instead, so they can't use Reincarnation's banish effect because they'll already be gone. It's 1600 beat stick, which I mean, guess you can say Candina can beat over that. Light Storms, definitely this card is definitely really good against because some people don't even bother reading it. A lot of Light Storm players can go into Grass is Greener without knowing that he's on the field still, and they'll just banish their whole deck basically. So I'm only running 10 monsters in that because 10 monsters is the right ratio for this deck because you want to keep it a low monster count, but you don't want it too low. I feel like 11 and 9 is too less and too much. Because you won't see a monster if you got 9, and you're definitely going to see your monsters with 11 in it. Which you don't want to do because you're running the 3 carded demises in this deck. 3 carded demises, I love it. I used to run it at 2 because I couldn't get a third one, but then I ended up trading for a secret, and I bought a playset off a guy for 50 bucks. So, I had 6 in total, but I sold my playset of Ultras, and now I'm stuck with 2 Ultras and 1 Secret. So for other people who hate mix matching, don't hate this video because of that. This is why you want to run a low monster count, because you don't want to see your monsters, unless you got none in hand, of course, but Yeah. If you see, like, if you draw 3 monsters, it's terrible. Next one we're playing is 3 Pot of Duality. I love Pot of Duality in this deck. It makes it perfect at home. Next one is going to be 2 Pot of Desires. Desires, at first, I felt iffy on because my first time playing this deck, I was playing the basic 9 monsters with 2 Pot of Desires. I banished all my monsters and I drew into another Pot of Desires. So, at first I was iffy on it, and then I'm realizing that it's like a pot of greed. You can't be mad at it. It's really good. So, I stopped hating on it. I started loving it in this deck. Not that I always had an issue with Pot of Desires. I always loved it once the Ultra came out because I couldn't afford the secrets, of course. So, the next ones we're running are 2 Moon Mirror Shields. Moon Mirror Shield basically beats over any monster. It's always going to be over by 100 on your monster's attack, depending on which is higher on your opponent's monster's attack or defense. So if they had, I forgot, is it Rodentone that has 100 attack? And no, it's Dupe Frog. Am I correct? Dupe Frog's the one with 100 attack and 2000 defense. They got Dupe Frog in attack mode, and you swing. They're taking a lot of damage because you're going to be over it by 2100. So it'll take 2000 damage off it because their defense is higher than the attack. So that card's always busted. And the reason you don't want to run it at 3 of is simply because it recycles itself. If it gets sent to the graveyard, it's mandatory to pay 500, which kind of sucks every once in a while. And you choose top or bottom of the deck. So if you got another monster, or like 3 monsters in hand, you could choose top. Summon a monster, beat over what you need to beat over. The next ones, this is our trap lineup now. So we're running 1-ofs on this, or a couple of 1-ofs. So the only run-ofs we're running is Macrocosmo and Evacuation Device. So the reason I choose this over Ring of Destruction for the people that asked that is because if someone evenly matches you or tries to board wipe you, or mirror force you in this case, and this has already been set for a while, simply, you could just activate it and target your own monster and bounce it back. This does come in handy a lot, and of course Macrocosmo doesn't need any explaining. It's like Banisher of the Radiance except in trap form. It's pretty busted. So the next ones we're running are pretty much a Pendulum Hate style, but this does go good against almost a lot of cards in the meta. 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance and 2 Unending Nightmares. Unending Nightmares just says no to their scales, or no to face-up continuous spell or trap cards. And Anti-Spells definitely says no to Pendulums. So there's Pendulum matchup where game 1 I had Inspector Border out, I had this and this set, and I passed. On their standby phase, activated this. They couldn't activate no spells, and they thought that they could get Purple Poison's effect off by attacking to my Inspector Border, but since they had no other monsters on board, Purple Poison cannot activate its effect from the grave, or banish in that case, because Macrocosmo was out on the field. So I ended up winning that game. And then the next ones that we're running is going to be Bottomless Trap Hole at 2. As I know it's at 3, but I only feel comfortable with that at 2. It ain't as powerful, especially against a Pendulum matchup, because a lot of Pendulums that you can summon are less than 1500 attack. But I'm not going to hate on it. It does do its job. I just don't like the fact that it works destroy that monster and then banish it, because that can cause some problems. If it was just like banish that monster, then you'd be set. The next ones are our actual battle protections and board wipe protections. So we're running 3 Phantom Knight Wings and 2 Phantom Knight Swords. So people are going to find this weird that know a lot of anti-meta builds, because they normally run 3 of swords and 2 of wings. But this is why I'm doing 3 and 2, or 3 wings and 2 swords, is because when you go into when your opponent goes into their side deck and you're going to go first, they're going to open up with Twin Twisters. I lost Shadal Dinos because of this, because I had this set with Inspector Border out on the field, and like for a Moon Mirror Shield, a Storm Mirror Force, and a Bottomless Trap Hole. And they opened up broken with 2 Twin Twisters. So, and then they had Regeki after that. And that went downhill from that because I wasn't drawing any monsters. I drew the Solemn stuff, which you'll see that in later on. So, like, I feel like if you have wings set and they tried to basically hit you with the Twin Twisters, you can chain with wings and target. So that way your monster's protected at least for a 1 destruction. So like if I would have had this set, I would have targeted Inspector Boarder, and he wouldn't be able to Regeki me, and he wouldn't have been able to go off on his plays, because then he normal summoned Overraptor and did all of his plays from there. So yeah, I choose Wings over Swords because of that reason. Just for like board wipes, even evenly matched, you can chain, just so that way your monster is protected. So the next one we're running up is also protection, is 2 Dark Brides. 2 Dark Brides, these are coming in the mail hollow, so that way, for the people that like hollows, this deck is going to be officially done with their hollows once these 2 get in the mail. But Dark Bribe in the anti-meta decks is always real good. I know it gives your opponent a +1 advantage, which a lot of people do not like about it, but I feel like if you can negate and evenly match with a setup board, or a Regeki, or a Dark Hole, or Mind Control for those Invoke players, I feel like you'll be good on this. Or even, this card I just find really good. If I had this against when the guy played Double Twin Twisters, I would have been pretty happy. So, next ones are going to be some more Battle Traps. 3 Storm Mirror Forces. I don't choose normal Mirror Forces. I wouldn't choose Quakings over anything. I would choose this, because I know it'll bounce your opponent's cards back to hand, but it still is pretty powerful. Because a lot of monsters could play off your graveyard. A lot of monsters, well, they can't do anything set, but with Link monsters being out, they can't be set down, of course. Blazing is only good for direct attacks, while Storming's good in any case. I win a lot of games because of Storming. That's my MVP of the deck, honestly. And then the last things in this main deck is going to be Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike, and Solemn Strike. So the Solemn Brigade. I used to run this at 3. I did not like it because I would always find myself not having enough life points at the end of the day to activate the 3rd one. We're running so much of like Unending Nightmare, for example, and then Judgment, and then Warning, and then Strike. So that really does take a lot off your life points, and sometimes you don't want that to happen. But that's it for our main deck. Really, your extra deck and side deck can really be whatever you want it to be. But in my extra deck, I'm not running any targets for Winter Cherries, because I'm not running Winter Cherries, so my extra deck's just pretty basic. And just random monsters, because you don't want to go in a competitive scene or a locals. I mean, you could, but you really don't want to, because if you have no extra deck, they're just going to assume that you're playing anti-meta or Dracos. So for our side deck, this is pretty optional. There's a couple things I wish I want to do, or I'm going to try to do with this deck, or side deck. Like, for example, I'm probably going to try to, I'll probably do 2 Ogres and 2 Effect Veilers, because Ogres really don't come up that much when you're going second for me, in my case. I mean, they help, but I feel like Effect Veiler is going to be definitely more powerful in some cases. So I might go 2 and 2 on that. For the rest of the monsters, because they're not really running that much monsters, we're just running what helps you go second, because this deck does struggle a lot going second. So we're running 2 Kaijus. I have a second Gamma Seal, but I gave it to my girlfriend, so I just chose Sticky String, honestly. One of my favorite things to do is, if they go first and they don't have a full board and I go second, and I have like a strike in hand somehow, for some reason, because I like to keep strikes because they could come in handy in later on games. I would set strike, I'll keep my Kaiju in hand, and I would have a monster on board to pass. So then what they try to do is they go in, they could get rid of that monster, and then they set up a pretty decent board, and then you can go in, Kaiju them, and activate Solemn Strike, and then you get the Kaiju destroyed. I love doing that to people, because Kaiju says special summon, they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, read the text. So it's been pretty interesting doing that to some people, because then they'll just scoop at that point, because I can have another monster in hand possibly. Let's see, I'm keeping my side deck out of the way. For my spell card, or my spell and traps that help me go second, because I run some specific traps, which we all probably know. For decks that don't really use Unending Nightmare, There's a couple of those decks out there like Paleos. You can't really Unending Nightmare that much of their stuff. Cosmic Cyclone can be there and save the day. I only run that at 2 because, again, you're paying life points. And I wouldn't recommend Twin Twister because every card in your hand is pretty important. MSTs aren't obviously that good. They could be, but they're not. The board wipes, the Dark Hole and Regeki. I want to try to incorporate that in the main deck. I thought about that because when I played on Saturday, I saw that the deck can struggle going second. But then again, a lot of players that played kind of didn't have their board set up, unless I was playing the Lightstorm guy I lost to. But yeah. So I definitely want to try to main deck those because they're pretty decent. But right now I'm enjoying this build, and maybe I'll try to see what to take out. The last of my going second cards are going to be 2 evenly matches. I used to run them in the main deck, but then I realized I ran too much traps, and I would see them all the time going first, and that ain't something that you want to see going first. For my going first traps, we're only running 3D barriers and my 3rd anti-spell fragrance. So that's pretty standard. D-barriers really help with Invoke Mekk-Knights. Dino's not really, because they're not fusion based. But some Lightstorms, I guess you can say it'll help, because you could call Synchro and they can't make Omega. So it kind of slows them down a little bit, but they could go into like Minerva still and stuff. But I feel like these are good against Pendulums, for sure, and Invoke Mekk-Knights with that being a thing still. Which I never lose to Invoke Mekk-Knights, because Fossil Dyna is always MVP in that deck. So guys, that is really going to be it on this deck profile. There's nothing else I would really change in my side deck besides trying to get the 2 Effect Veilers fit in with the putting Dark Hole and Regeki in the main deck. But other than that, I do love this deck. This deck has been proving me some success lately. With this build, this is my first locals doing it, and I feel like I did pretty decent. The reason I like this deck is because, like, it's pretty fun. It puts everything in shape, and you can just have fun playing it. It's a good playstyle to have, and for the people that like the Go format, so I recommend playing anti-meta and picking that up and just messing with your opponents a lot. So guys, that is going to be it on this deck profile. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.